Hey, Eric here, and my last video is blowing up a little bit. Like, people are leaving a lot of comments, and I think some of these should be addressed. I've already been in the comments interacting with people a little bit, as you can see here on the screen. But I think talking about this in another video, like I'm doing here, is kind of warranted a little bit. And so let's go through some of these. Uh, just as a quick recap, what I said in the last video was that there's no such thing as objective morality. There's no objective source of morality. What morality is a series of social agreements that we make, social contracts, and like it can appear objective because people largely have very similar needs. And so I agree to not murder you if you agree not to murder me is nearly universal. Like there's some cultures that have like honor killings and some weird stuff going on that we don't have in our culture, but for the most part, it seems very close to universal because human beings have very similar desires, very similar needs around the world, and but in the end, all morality really is just a social contract. I agree not to steal from you if you agree not to steal from me, that sort of thing. Um, I also said that objective morality causes problems because if I have my objective morality and this person has their objective morality, we're going to come into conflict. Because if we don't agree to leave each other alone, you practice your morality there, I'll keep mine over there. If I try to use my objective morality as some sort of excuse to go and try to create conflict with you and war on you and say those people over there are bad, they don't practice our objective morality, well, that's going to cause problems. That's how a great deal of wars start. Probably a lot more wars start that way than based off of just religion alone. And then lastly, I said that the system I advocate for is more is sort of libertarian, vaguely so. I hesitate to even claim libertarianism because there's like libertarians are a very diverse lot. And there's a lot of things within libertarianism I would certainly want to shy away from. Um, but I would vaguely say that my views tend toward libertarianism because they are transcendent of other views. Transcendent meaning that the system that I would advocate for includes you being able to practice your objective morality in your community, and Jim Bob can practice his objective morality in his community, and so on and so forth. We just all need to have this agreement, one simple agreement to not aggress upon each other, the non-aggression principle. Don't screw with each other. Just let other people alone. It's only, and if you go and visit their community, you're under their rules. If they come and visit your community, they're under your rules, etc., etc. Okay, this isn't. I don't think this is all that complicated. I don't think this is all that impractical. I think it's the transcendent view of everyone just follow these couple rules and we can all sort of get along. That would be my preferred social contract. Okay, so that being said, that's basically what I said in my video, and these are some of the comments I'm getting. So the first comment here, and really the first two are kind of saying the same thing here. Let's expand it. Arguing that the consequences of subjective morality are better than the consequences of objective morality implies that outcomes can be objectively better. Or put another way, you cut off the branch you were sitting on. No, I didn't. No, that this is just completely wrong. This is like arguing. This is like arguing. Uh, I prefer tacos to over hamburgers. And if more people just dressed up their tacos in this way, I think more people would prefer tacos over hamburgers. And if I come and say that, and you come and say, "Oh, so you're just saying tacos are objectively better," you're implying that tacos are objectively better than hamburgers. No, no, that's not at all what I'm implying. There are some people who are always going to prefer hamburgers, and there are some people who are always going to prefer objective morality. An example of one such group is going to be people that really like power, that really like to dominate other people, because this idea of objective morality provides them with a very ready excuse to go full Karen mode, or maybe even to go full, warmonger mode, depending on their station in life. It gives them a ready-made excuse to go screw with other people, to go yell at them, to go dominate them, or maybe even to go commit war on them. These other people don't follow the correct objective morality. They don't do things the way that we do. That they this is the way they treat women, or this is the way that they worship God, or whatever it is. It's just wrong. It's wrong. It provides those people with a ready excuse at all times. So some people are always going to prefer hamburgers. But expressing that I think this is a better system, I think this is the system I would prefer to live under. I think this is the system that if more people lived under the system, they would see the wisdom in it and they would prefer to live in it too. I think that's the case. So no, these first two comments, the second one is objective morality actually causes problems, is an objective statement. No, not really. Not really, because the whole idea of problems is itself, it includes subjectivity. What's a problem for one person is not necessarily a problem for another. Like I said, there's some people that will always prefer the hamburgers, that will always prefer the objective morality. you know so so no, it's just from my view, and I think from a view that if more people adopted it, and more people, and I could convince more people to do this, I think more people would be better off, because you could practice your morality over there, these people could practice their morality over there, and in fact, you might even come to see, because now you're letting other people just do what they do. You might come to see that, hey, their way of doing this, that, or the other is actually better than ours. There's the possibility of that too. I would prefer actually to live that way, and then you have somewhere to go. Like, and another problem I didn't mention with objective morality is, or at least the belief in objective morality, is that what if the authorities that can impose the morality are just wrong? What if they're just wrong? What do you do? Well, they're going to claim that their morality is objective, and most people are going to agree with them because they're the authorities, because they're the ones that set the objective standard. I mean, there is no objective morality that goes above a, the final authorities. This is the whole problem with objective morality. Well, what about the Bible? What about the census? Because we'll get to um, we'll get to Ayn Rand and objectivism. Someone made a comment on that. Um, like, there's no way to appeal to these things, because it's all going to be subject to interpretation. As I said in my video, like, the Bible is not an objective source of morality. Like people, like Christians that want to go around saying, well, the Bible is our objective source of morality. No, it's not, because everyone interprets the Bible differently. Like, I even gave a quote from Bernadette Roberts, that the Bible is the birth giver, it's the mother of every heresy. Every heresy comes from people pointing at the Bible. And every Bible quote that you think is objective is like, can be countered by another Bible quote. So it's all up to interpretation. So in the end, in these objective morality systems, what you get is you just get one authority figure or one body of authorities who just imposes their shit on everyone else. That's all it comes down to. And what if they're wrong? What if they just make all these decisions that benefit themselves at the expense of everyone else? Because that's what they do, as we all know. No, this just causes more problems. This just causes more problems. But if we adopt a system that it's like, where we just leave each other, like, that's the only thing we all have to agree to, is to leave each other alone. And no, that's still not an objective statement. That's not an objective morality. I'm not saying that this system comes from some objective source. I think you really misunderstand what objective morality means if you're saying that this is if this is objective. No, it just means this is the social contract I'd rather live under. I think this would be a better social contract. I'm not saying that it's objective. I'm not saying that this is the objectively correct rule that we all have to. The non-aggression principle is objectively correct. No, I'm not saying that. That's not objective. I'm saying that's a better way to live. I'm saying that that's the agreement we should make. That's a better contract. I just prefer the tacos. Okay. All right, let's go on. Libertarians are not smart. Okay, that's not true. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that in uh, most of the times that they've measured IQ compared to political views, libertarians, I think, are the ones that generally come out way ahead. Most of the very intelligent people that I know, that like people that I'm pretty sure are at least above one. No, actually, one standard deviation IQ generally comes with more liberal views. But once you get to two standard deviations and above, you get libertarians. Libertarians are everywhere once you get to two standard deviations and above. Um, or at least that's my experience, but my estimate. I'm it's kind of anecdotal, so take it for what it is. But I bet there are studies of this out there. I just I would immediately suspect bias in them, even if they come out and do say that libertarians aren't the smartest. I would still suspect maybe some bias in there. But anyways, take what I have to say as anecdotal. No, I think libertarianism and intelligence, actually, there's a moderate positive correlation. Anyways, it's a fantasy world that essentially suggests power shouldn't exist where I don't like it. No, what? Force does exist, and it's the rule rather than the exception. Okay, this is just a straw man, and I'm pretty sure that's what I said here. Yeah, yeah. This is just a straw man. I never claimed power shouldn't exist. Of course, some power has to exist and will always exist. There are always some people that prefer the hamburgers. There's always some people that real like their highest satisfaction is imposing their bullshit on everyone else. You know, it's just that the best system is the one that limits those people. And by best, again, I don't mean objectively best. I mean that's the one I prefer to live under. I prefer to live under the system where where the people who just want to impose their nonsense on everyone else can't, or have a really hard time doing so. So no, this is just a straw man. This is just a straw man of libertarianism. It's like libertarians obviously acknowledge that power exists, that power is always going to exist, and it's only like anarchists who try to eliminate all forms of hierarchy and power. I don't. I don't do that at all. I think some hierarchies are actually beneficial. Like like at the workplace, it's generally good to have a hierarchy. There are some people who are more competent than others, and generally the more competent people should have more decision making power. Okay, that doesn't go against libertarianism. There's no contradiction there. They'll leave each other alone. Libertarian morality is the same in practice as subjective morality. No, it's not. What are you talking about? It's, first of all, it's more relative. It's more dividing up into communities. Yeah, I would still strongly believe in individual rights too. So there is some parts of morals that I think should be completely subjective, like what religion you want to practice, eh, what words you want to use, like free speech. Yeah, that this is subjective. I think this should be completely up to the individual person. So in some ways it's subjective, but not always. No, I libertarianism doesn't imply a universal subjective morality. Anyways, let's move on. In practice, it becomes the only injustice that really matters is injustice committed against me. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. That's not what I advocate for. As a Christian, if I saw a Sharia law Muslim beat up his wife, I would want to stop it, even though either of them might not see it as wrong. It's true that no single person can definitively prove their moral values are true in the same logical way you can prove 2 plus 2 equals 4 is true, but you can't reject that there very well could be the objective morality out there simply because there isn't a logical way to prove it. No, I would say that okay, so you're getting confused between ontology and epistemology here. I'm not saying that there's no objective morality in an ontological sense. I would say that there's no objective morality that you can ever know. You can never know that there's an objective morality. And in fact, like I might actually go into ontology and say, no, objective morality is not a thing because it's an abstraction. Like we can argue over the water bottle. We can argue over whether this is a real thing or not. Is it mentally created? Is this just, are we just living in a video game or dream? And this would just be a video game object or dream object. We can argue that. We can argue the ontological status of more concrete objects, but I think the ontological status of abstractions like justice and morality, I think that one's a lot more clear. I'm perfectly aware that there are philosophers who disagree with this, but no, morality is an abstract object. It only ever appears in the minds of people. That's it. That's the only place it ever appears. It never appears out there in the same way that a table or that the water bottle does. So no, what it is, like by its nature, what morality is by its nature is an idea, is an abstraction. It's something that appears in human minds. So no, it is not out there. By its nature, it's not out there. It's not what it is. It only exists in human minds. So no, disagree actually. Now that I thought it through. The way to resolve moral differences is through conflict. No, it's not. The way to resolve moral differences is to leave each other alone. I mean, if someone is violating morality within your community by the laws of your community, by the morality of your community, then yeah, there might be conflict. That's different. That's different, but that's not the same thing as hey, there's Muslims over there and they believe in corporal punishment for their wife, which I don't know if that's true of Muslims. Okay, I really don't know. Muslims will have to determine that for themselves. No, like the way to resolve that is to leave them to their morality. Leaving each other alone is simply a compromise that forces the conflict into the future. No, it doesn't. Not necessarily. No, not really. Because I could come to see that your way of doing things is better and adopt your way of doing things. Or perhaps our way of doing things evolves over time into some other thing. So no, it doesn't guarantee conflict in the future. What are you talking about? Which most likely will be more escalated. What? No, no, it doesn't. This is all false. This is just wrong. It's like trying to fix a leaking tub by simply pouring even more water into it. No, this is just incorrect. No, it's not. Like, it does not guarantee conflict in the future. If we just leave each other alone, that state of affairs can last for a long time. Or one or both of us could change our morality to accommodate the other over time. That happens. That happens a lot. We could one of us could just go extinct for other reasons. Like no, it doesn't force a conflict into the future. What are you talking about? No. I don't know what this means. Yeah, this comment, you're skirting the line. I asked you to elevate the conversation. Because I tried to make it clear in my last video that if you're just going to call names and whatnot, I'm going to ban you. This is on the line. I almost hit the ban button. I did hit the ban button on someone else. But no, this do better. I'm not doing this. I deleted my Reddit account. I want higher elevated conversation. Let's see, next one. We may not be able to see and touch morality, but we experience the downward effects. Effects. We experience the downward effects of believing such things. I'd rather. sorry for being pedantic. it just sticks out to me. Anyways, I'd rather live in a world where we pretend to have objective morals. You can live in that world under my system. You can live in a community where people share your values. All you have to do is leave other communities alone. That's all you have to do. That's it. Just don't impose your shit on everyone else. I'd rather live in a world where we pretend to have objective morals than in a world where we pretend they don't exist. Well, So you rather lie because you're saying pretend. Like you rather lie and say objective morality is a thing. It's not. It's not a thing. Morality is just It's just an agreement among people. That's all it is. I agree not to murder you if you agree not to murder me. I agree not to steal from you if you agree not to steal from me. That's all morality is. In the end, it's irrelevant. What matters is the after effects or byproducts of such things. Subjective morality spirals into chaos. Okay, I didn't argue for subjective morality. Yeah, I agree. I agree that subjective morality spirals into chaos. I agree with that, but I didn't argue for that. So, subjective morality is when just every individual person just gets to determine what's moral for themselves. I mean, like I said earlier, some things are subjective. I think what words you should be able to speak, what religion you should be able to adopt. Um, uh, uh, I think these are subjective things. You know, what philosopher that you like over another, what foods you prefer to eat over another. This is all subjective. These are subjective morals. No one has the right to come in and say you're not allowed to eat pizza. I mean, maybe if you're a child, your parents might have a right to do that, you know, because they want to teach you better habits than eating pizza, like, you know, fat old Eric Westfall here. But 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 if you're an adult, assuming you're an adult, no one has the right to come and tell you you can't eat freaking pizza. Okay, so it's so no, even this is nuanced. It's nuanced. Some things are completely subjective, but some things are not, and the things that aren't the things that aren't subjective, I think are mostly relative, and I think the best social agreement that we can come to, which is the closest thing to an objective morality that we can come to, is to have an agreement with each other to not aggress. The non-aggression principle is the best agreement to come to. But none of this applies. Like a theme that I'm seeing here is that you guys don't understand what objective means. I mean, this person does. Nicholas Rova, you seem to understand what objective means because you're saying that we pretend to have objective morals, then live in a world where we pretend they don't exist. Because that's what objective morality really is. It's not that you can't have an agreement that is imposed on everyone. It's still imposed. If I agree to leave you alone, you agree to leave me alone, and we don't, then yeah, there is hopefully some higher authority that's going to come in and say, hey, no, you have to leave each other alone. But like I don't see that you can avoid that. This is why almost every libertarian agrees that there has to be some sort of highest authority that controls the military police, that controls the military and some police force and some court force, okay, or some system of courts. Like almost most forms of libertarianism agree with this, because there has to be someone to impose upon people that violate the non-aggression principle. And even then, which that would be the system of of America's founding fathers. By the way, that's basically what early America looked like. The federal government was mostly involved in in settling disagreements among the states. They had the federal marshals who would rein in local police forces when local police forces were out of control. And they had federal courts to you know, so that there was judges to uh, 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 adjudicate these disagreements. That was in the military. You know, we all contributed to the military. You know, every state contributed to the military. And then, and as we grew, the states became enormous in land area. That I think that's a big problem. I think the smaller the municipalities that you can get, the better. Like the more local the government, the better. Because if our government is so local that it's even maybe neighborhood based, that, you know, the 50 houses in our neighborhood can get together, then we can really form communities to our liking. We can form communities where we all agree to live together in these conditions or those conditions. Um, And not all libertarians agree with everything I'm saying. By the way, there are some that agree that like we need to basically arm all the different small communities so that there's not one force, but there's militias. There's these scattered militias for every neighborhood, and then therefore everyone if you try to impose your bullshit on me, well, we have guns, and you're just going to have it's you know that um, uh, peace happens between equals is sort of the thought there, and there's something to that too, I admit, but but I think the system of a stripped down, minimalized high authority is just fine. Someone has to impose the non-aggression principle. There has to be some way to impose that. Okay, next one. What if someone? Okay, I'm gonna have to skip that because I'm gonna have to skip that one because I can't make sense of it. And okay, and the last one I'm seeing under here. Let's see if I can get it pulled up. I might have to adjust the window here. Hold on. Yeah, sorry here. I didn't fully do this here. Okay, it's kind of on the bottom. Sorry, I can't pull it up all the way. Anyways, the one issue with your critique of objective morality is that it doesn't address objectivism. Objectivism doesn't take morality from arbitrary scripture, but from sensory evidence. Yeah, I use the Bible, I use Christianity as sort of an example, um, but my critique generalizes, and this is basically what I said in my comment. My critique generalizes. It generalizes because there is always an interpretation there. Like Ayn Rand and the objectivist idea that morality comes from the senses, or it comes from evidence, it comes from like empirical evidence. That's just wrong. That's just incorrect. No, it doesn't. What happens is that we is that things come in through the senses, and they get mixed in with the cognitive layer. They get mixed in with the mind. In particular, where morality comes from is the mind's sense of will, is the sense of it's the will is the part of us that desires to be united with what's pleasant and to be separated from what's unpleasant. That's what the will is. It desires what it desires desirable things, and it wants to be separated from undesirable things. Desires the pleasant, wants to be kept away from the unpleasant. That does not exist in the objects. That is not out there in things. That's in our mind. This is why people have different ideas about what's pleasant and what's unpleasant. I mean, there's a lot of commonalities among people because there are central organizing principles among the will. Like the will's central organizing principle is the desire to exist, which is subtly different than the will to life. The will to live, the will to exist. I think this is why we get a lot of afterlife theories. It's not the will to live that's the central organizing principle. People are okay if this body dies, but the threat of non-existence is what's really scary. Is what's really scary about dying, because you could not exist afterwards. So this is why we have a lot of these afterlife ideas. So it's subtly different. The will's central organizing principle is the will to exist, to continue existing. And so this is where our sense of morality actually comes from, is that we want a moral system that more or less maximizes what's pleasant and keeps away what's unpleasant. And the more sophisticated moral systems have taken this one step further, and they understand longer term consequences. So yeah, maybe eating that candy is has a short term gain, or like a short term very pleasant, but in the long term, if you do that, you're going to bring upon yourself a lot of unpleasantness, because you're going to become overweight. So like our sense of morality then, and really all that isn't even a sense of morality so much. The morality comes in when we start when it starts to the things we desire come into conflict with the things other people desire, or our desires come into conflict with what is very undesirable to other people. So like if I find money to be very pleasurable, okay, and my desire for money might come into conflict with your desire to protect your own money when I try to rob you. That's when we start to get issues of morality. But whether I eat the pizza or whether I eat the vegetables, like some people might say that's a moral issue because it's an issue of character, but I would say that they're saying that because internally they're feeling disgust. So really, it just comes down to their own personal disgust, that they're disgusted by people that lack that willpower. You know, that's what it seems more like to me. So some people might say that that's an issue of morality because it's an issue of character, an issue of like virtue versus vice, if that makes sense. Um, but a lot of people would say no, whether you eat the pizza or whether you eat the vegetables, it's not an issue of morality. I mean, you probably should eat the vegetables. It's you are probably better off in the end. But whether it's an issue of morality, well, it doesn't really hurt anyone else. Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that if everyone's paying for socialized medicine, you're burdening the system more if you're eating the pizza. Yeah, I mean, there might be this sort of runaround arguments, right? Like you can kind of justify it, but it still seems kind of. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it necessarily is a moral issue what other people are eating or not, whether they eat the vegetables or the pizza. So, uh, basically, what I'm saying is that no matter what, that no morality does not come from the senses. That's wrong. Ayn Rand is just wrong. That's just incorrect. Morality comes from the like our sense of morality comes from contact with of the will, what we find desirable versus undesirable, coming into contact with the things of the senses, and that's different. It's not out there. It's not like there's morality out here in this water bottle. You know, it's it's how I use it and how I view it, how I interpret it. If someone comes in here and I throw the water bottle at them, well, from their point of view, their interpretation, oh, now it might be bad, because it hurts to get hit in the noggin. But from my point of view, right now, because I'm getting kind of thirsty, my throat's kind of dry, because I've been rambling for half an hour. Um, I think my water bottle is wonderful. So it's after I finish up here in a moment, I'm gonna be taking a nice big drink of water. Tell you what. So no, Ayn Rand's just wrong. I like objectivism. I've wrestled with it a little bit in the past, and honestly, I didn't really go that deep with it because Ayn Rand is just wrong. Like she is just incorrect. She's not a very good philosopher. She does not understand the difference between cognition and empirical observation. Well, empirical observation involves cognition. She doesn't understand the separation between cognition and what we observe, direct observation. She doesn't understand it. She thinks things like morality and justice and abstractions are out there in the objects, and that's just nonsense. And she even admits that she's dogmatic about it, which to me is, as soon as you admit that you're just dogmatic, you're not going to consider opinions to the opposite on this. We're just dogmatically going to assume these things so we can move on to other things. Well, then you're not a philosopher. You're just you're a theologian by other names or by other means. So I don't take Ayn Rand seriously at all. I wrestled with it for a little bit in the past, and I didn't go that far because it's just crap. It was just so bad. I just tossed it aside and was like, this is nonsense. There's no value in this. Same thing with like uh what is it? Stephen Hawking wrote, like in one of his books, the opening chapter he opens with. philosophy is dead because philosophers haven't kept up with advancements in the sciences, and now it's scientists who are the torchbearers of truth. I was just like, bye. I'm I don't need to read another paragraph. You're so off with that. I mean, that's an interesting philosophy you have there, but it's just you're declaring yourself dogmatic. I'm dogmatic. I'm going to believe these things. I'm not going to consider what people that question these things have to say. Um, so I have no use for that. I have no use for that stance or that attitude. Anyways, that's all I have today. I like it when you like it. I like it when you subscribe to it. So like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Again, I'm going to say you are totally allowed to disagree with me. Um, I've fun going through comments like this and disagreeing with people. And it like I like this. I actually like doing this. But if you're gonna come in here and say, "Oh, you're a MAGA tard, you're a libertarian tard," or even like what was that? Yeah, this statement up here, um, about this is a hot mess. Yeah, like that's right on the line. I'm tempted to just hit the ban button on that, but uh, I'm willing to give you just one chance to turn that one around. But if you come in here with substantive conversation, I am happy to address it. I'm happy to have a conversation. This is actually one of the reasons that I started this channel, is so I can have conversations with people. Just keep it a high level of conversation. That's all. Uh, if it's low, I've already banned someone. Anyways, thank you for coming. Hope to see you next time. And yeah, there you go. That's the video.